Before the young general marched to war, he got drunk and took my virginity in a frenzy. For 3 absurd days and nights, he bit my neck and promised fiercely, "Bear me an heir, and the position of legal wife shall be yours." But when he returned victorious, he held my eloped elder cousin in his arms. My elder cousin leaned into his chest, the corners of her eyes reddening. That night, the general only used sister as a substitute in his urgency. It was I who he was betrothed to all along. The young general's heart ached. He frowned and comforted her. "Just make her a concubine to get rid of her. Only you deserve the position of my legal wife." I was struck dumb, sobering up in an instant. "Right, it's my fault for dreaming of the moon in the sky." I lowered my head and stroked my slightly bulging belly, then turned and left the capital. We met again 5 years later. I was holding a little child's hand, the young general, who had lived his life unbridled and unrestrained, had bloodshot eyes and dared not take a single step forward. Wait, he can't possibly think my daughter is his, right? 1. Pei Zheng led light cavalry deep into the enemy's lair, missing without a word for a full 2 months. No one thought he would come back alive. No one thought even more. The first thing he did upon his return was to marry my elder cousin Shen Liusu at once. The scorching sun blazed overhead. Pei Zheng's words pierced my heart like a sharp knife, sudden and unanticipated. Amid the noisy crowd, I forced down the urge to retch. I struggled to speak and confirm, "General Pei, but I already have. That night you clearly said it yourself. If he returned, no matter if he was injured or maimed, he would marry me into the general's mansion as his wife." Pei Zheng's expression flickered for a moment, as if he remembered the absurdity of those 3 days and nights. My elder cousin wiped the corner of her eye and spoke softly and faintly, "Sister, even if you are in such a hurry to marry into the general's mansion, a concubine should not wear my bright red phoenix coronet and red wedding robe, right?" Her words made everyone's eyes turn to me again. I fell into fluster and helplessness at once. There were endless whispers around. All the gazes were full of mockery. I only felt the red wedding dress on my body burning like a hot iron, wishing I could take it off immediately. I had misunderstood after all, 7 days ago. Pei Zheng sent an urgent letter. His tone was tough, ordering me to come to the city gate with the wedding dress to greet him today. I thought he would keep his promise. My heart filled with joy. But what I waited for was such humiliation. It was as if I had been slapped in the face in public. My embarrassment exposed for all to see. Pei Zheng finally seemed to notice me, his tone extremely impatient. "Liusu and I have already been intimate. The position of legal wife rightfully belongs to her. Though you have lost your chastity, if you behave yourself, I can take you as a concubine." 2. Embarrassment and sorrow intertwined. My stomach also started to ache faintly. I stumbled and almost lost my balance. A maid hurried forward to support me. My elder cousin also came over and pretended to help me up. "Be careful, sister." After saying that, she leaned close to my ear with a smile, her voice lowered in sarcasm. "You're nothing but a toy to relieve his desire. Yet you dare to covet the young general." I was overwhelmed with shame and anger. I was about to argue when my elder cousin turned to hold Pei Zheng's arm and acted coquettishly. "Zheng, the wedding dress has been defiled. I will never wear such a second-hand dirty thing. Let's postpone the wedding date, lest it bring bad luck." Pei Zheng looked at my elder cousin dotingly. The tenderness in his eyes was something I had never seen before, not even in those days, when he was lost in passion. My heart sank, but I finally gave up all hope. I turned around silently, stroked my belly, and tears finally fell onto my hands uncontrollably. I only heard Pei Zheng's helpless voice coming from behind. "Everything is up to you. Liusu will be the mistress of the general's mansion from now on. So naturally everything will listen to you." The crowd cheered and congratulated them endlessly, but I could hear nothing at all. Only when I sat in the sedan chair did I dare to let my tears flow freely. 3. This border crisis was extremely dangerous. The Pei family had been loyal and righteous for generations, and now only Pei Zhang was left as the sole heir. Before the expedition, the emperor ordered Pei Zheng to leave an heir for the Pei family at all costs. Pei Zheng himself had the same thought. My elder cousin, who was originally betrothed to him, was the best choice. But upon learning that Pei Zheng wanted to go to the battlefield, my elder cousin feared becoming a widow and refused relentlessly. She made a fuss to break off the engagement and ran to the Jiangnan in a fit of anger. Time was pressing, and Pei Zheng had no time to betroth another family. By chance, that person turned out to be me. I was unwilling at first. Without a matchmaker or a betrothal gift, I would surely be scorned by the world. Besides, everyone knew that Shen Liusu had saved Pei Zheng's life. Pei Zheng loved Shen Liusu deeply, until death do them part, but that night it rained. And he stood dejected at the door of my elder cousin's boudoir. I mustered up the courage and handed him an umbrella kindly. He grabbed my hand tightly, his face full of joy. Liusu, are you willing to come back? When he saw it was me clearly, he looked a little disappointed, but he did not let go of my hand. You are Liusu's fifth sister, Shen Liushi. I nodded dumbly, but my heart was beating wildly. 4. The young general in bright clothes and gallant steed. With outstanding military merits and high spirits, he was the dream lover of countless noble ladies in the capital. My feelings for Pei Zheng were actually not pure either. Besides, he had saved me from drowning at the flower festival banquet. I never thought that 3 years later, he could still call out the name of a neglected concubine daughter like me. So when he put aside his dignity, bent down and coaxed me in a low voice, I did not refuse, nor could I refuse. When I reacted again, I had been hugged forcefully onto the couch by him. The rich smell of alcohol soon spread all over my body with his impatient kisses. A numb and tingly feeling came over me, and I finally felt a little scared, but thinking that he was going to a near-death battle. Being able to leave an heir for the Pei family was also a good thing. I simply hardened my heart, closed my eyes and let him do as he pleased. When he sobered up the next day, I thought he would regret it. Unexpectedly, he was not angry, but instead developed an insatiable craving, demanding even more fiercely. From the couch to the desk, not a single corner of my elder cousin's boudoir was spared. 5. This indulgence lasted for 3 consecutive days. On the early morning of the last day, Pei Zheng left while I was fast asleep. Only an ancestral jade bracelet of the Pei family was left behind, one that had been kept by the mistress of the general's mansion for generations. At that time, I was full of confidence that Pei Zheng would keep his promise and marry me. For 2 months, I fasted and prayed to Buddha every day, begging for his safe return. But now, Pei Zheng returned with meritorious deeds, but my elder cousin also repented and returned to the capital. Everything was back on track. To be a concubine, I would rather die. This was the only instruction my mother left before she passed away. I stroked my belly, feeling more and more sad. Forget it. It's just that my child and I are not destined. I made up my mind and called my personal maid Chuanxing to pack my light luggage. Pei Zheng must be eager to welcome my elder cousin into the mansion without a moment's delay. I must leave the capital as soon as possible. 6. I had lived in the general's mansion for a short time, so there was not much luggage. I was like a duckweed all along. When I left the Shen mansion, I only brought a bag of personal clothes. The emperor already knew the inside story that day and ordered me to live in the general's mansion to guard the rear for Pei Zheng. With the emperor's edict, plus my elder cousin being in the wrong for eloping and breaking the engagement first. The Shen family should have given the Pei family an explanation anyway. That was why my father and stepmother did not dare to say much about this matter. But a concubine daughter having an illicit affair with a man without a matchmaker completely disgraced the Shen mansion. Father sent a letter to me via a servant. Whether Pei Zheng came back or not, I did not need to return to the Shen mansion anymore, having lost my chastity and now being pregnant. I was destined to be looked down upon by the whole world, so from the moment Pei Zhang hugged me onto the couch, I had no way out long ago. I was in a daze when another maid hurried into the room and said anxiously, "Miss Liuxi, it's bad. Miss Liuxi is furious and is coming to this courtyard with Mrs. Shen, 7. As soon as the words fell, the furious Shen Liuxi rushed in from behind. Slap. As soon as she came in, she slapped me hard in the face. "You shameless wretch who stole your brother-in-law. Even a brothel girl knows more about morality than you, a lowly maid who climbed into the master's bed, yet you have the audacity to live in the general's mansion." I was stunned by the slap. Before I could react, Shen Liuxi raised her hand again. Not satisfied. Slap. Chuanxing's eyes were quick. She pounced forward and took the slap for me. "Being shameless is not enough. You even deliberately had an affair in my boudoir to provoke me, right? Afraid that others won't know your seductive tricks. Making a man unable to get out of bed for 3 days and nights." Shen Liuxi cursed and smashed things at the same time. Everything around was smashed to pieces by her. Chuanxing and I huddled together in a corner, not daring to say a word. I had been used to this since I was a child. My elder cousin was a knowledgeable and polite young lady of the Prime Minister's mansion outside, but she was willful and overbearing when she returned home. No one dared to provoke her. She had all kinds of ways to torment us concubine daughters and servants. My stepmother only had this one biological daughter, doted on her like a pearl in the palm, and never cared about our lives or deaths. In a fluster, several old women grabbed me from the ground, and a doctor immediately stepped forward to feel my pulse. My hand trembled, my heart in my mouth. The two of them stared at me tightly until the doctor shook his head. "The pulse is too weak. No sign of pregnancy can be seen yet." My stepmother nodded in relief, then said to Shen Liuxi, "The maid also said that she has had her period for the past 2 months. There should be no bastard in her belly." Shen Liuxi sneered, "Wanting to leave an heir for the general, not to mention not being pregnant. Even if you are, I can make you lose it." I felt a little lucky that besides Chuanxing, I had not told anyone about my pregnancy. Fortunately, it had not been long, and my pulse was unstable. Otherwise, with my stepmother's methods, I would probably lose this child and my life along with it. My maternal grandfather's family had practiced medicine for generations, and their family fortune declined only after being framed. My mother had passed on all her exquisite medical skills to me, and I knew my own condition very well. My stepmother smiled coldly, echoing Shen Liuxi's words in sarcasm. "Your mother was a courtesan who lingered among men, and you have really learned her seductive skills well. It's a pity you're a ruined woman, not even worthy of being the young general's concubine." I bit my lip hard to endure the humiliation, not daring to make a sound. The lesson of being locked in the stable for 3 days and nights without a drop of water when I was a child. The only time I talked back to my elder cousin for my mother was too profound. My stepmother was about to make further trouble when Shen Liuxi suddenly screamed. 8. Shen Liuxi rushed over, grabbed my arm in one hand. Her voice terrifyingly gloomy. "You little bitch, why is the ancestral jade bracelet of the Pei family on you?" My back went cold. I immediately tried to hide to the side, but it was too late. Shen Liuxi was furious. She grabbed my hair and dragged me out into the courtyard. I was in pain and fear, especially having to take care of the flesh and blood in my belly. I could only protect my belly and let her drag me out. When she dragged me into the courtyard, she pushed me to the ground hard. Immediately after, a bucket of dirty water was poured over my head. "Wash off this brothel girl's stench well. Don't dirty the general's mansion. Everyone else, keep your eyes wide open and see who is the real mistress of this general's mansion." I was soaked all over, extremely embarrassed. Chuanxing pounced forward to protect me, and was also kicked a few times by the old women. "What's going on?" Pei Zhang appeared suddenly. He looked at me, his expression somewhat complicated. Shun Liusu's expression changed in an instant, and she stepped forward to link her arm through Pei Zhang's. Zheng, it's nothing. Mother just came to see sister. But she talked back, so mother taught her a lesson. As she spoke, Shun Liusu shot me a warning glance. She need not have worried, though, even if Pei Zhang knew the truth, he would only take her side. Perhaps seeing how miserable I looked, Pei Zhang spoke up for me for the rare time. That's enough now that the lesson's been given. She's no more than a concubine, you can discipline her slowly in the future. Despair settled heavy in my chest. In their eyes, someone like me was nothing more than a trinket, used when needed, cast aside like a stone when not. Zheng, do you feel sorry for her? Shun Liusu frowned in displeasure. Pei Zhang sighed helplessly, smiling as he pinched her nose and coaxed her softly. I'm afraid you'll work yourself into a rage and hurt your body. That's what I feel sorry about. Only then did Shun Liusu break into a smile. Zheng, take me to see the main courtyard where we'll live after the wedding. I want to arrange it myself. Shun Liusu tugged Pei Zhang out of the courtyard gate. My stepmother and her retinue followed close behind, leaving nothing but a trail of wreckage in their wake. 9. Shun Liusu's outburst had left my packed bundles scattered, and most of the jewelry my mother had left me lay broken on the floor. I wiped away my tears, sighed, and set to repacking with Chuanxing. We had to leave, and soon. We worked until nightfall. My stomach rumbled, and I realized I had not eaten dinner. The kitchen in the general's mansion had always sent meals on time before. Now that I was all but cast out, no one remembered this little courtyard anymore. Chuanxing's face flared with indignation, and she turned to go to the kitchen to demand food. But Pei Zhang appeared at the door unexpectedly. The room was tidy again, but many pieces of furniture lay broken. Pei Zhang's eyes swept the room, then fell on my swollen cheek. He cleared his throat lightly. Liusu has a bit of a temper. As her younger sister, you must be more tolerant of her. I said nothing. Pei Zhang went on. The emperor sent someone with rewards just now. The eunuch asked after your well-being. I smiled bitterly, my head bowed. So that was why he had come, only because the emperor had inquired. Rest assured, General, if the palace asks, I will say all is well with me. My eyes stayed downcast, refusing to meet his gaze. Pei Zhang fell silent for a long while, then spoke in a hoarse voice suddenly. When it's just the two of us, no need to call me General, it's too distant. Memories flashed unbidden. In those reckless nights, he had forced me, through every sweet and cruel means, to call him my Pei Lang. The night wind slipped through the window, stinging my eyes, clearing the fog of grief a little. I dare not, General, if elder sister hears, she will be angry again. Pei Zhang laughed a helpless laugh, neither affirming nor denying my words. You know I was desperate then. The emperor's order left me no choice. Those nights, I know it was hard on you. When Liusu enters the mansion, I will persuade her to agree to take you as a concubine. Fortunately, you are not with child. There is no hurry for you to move informally. Acid bitterness welled up in my chest again. A reckless thought sprung unbidden to my lips, and I spoke before I could stop myself. What if I am with child? What would you do then, General? Regret washed over me the moment the words left my mouth. Pei Zhang froze. His gaze dropped to my stomach, lingered for a moment. Then he let out a hollow laugh. Liusu has a small heart. She would surely make a terrible fuss about it. If you really are with child, better to get rid of it first. Once Liusu gives birth to the eldest son, you may conceive another. I could not speak. My hand crept to my stomach, my head bowing lower to hide the tears in my eyes. Pei Zhang turned to leave, then paused, as if remembering something. Since Liusu will be entering the mansion soon, return the jade bracelet to its rightful owner. She made quite a scene about it earlier. Very well. I did not hesitate for a moment, reaching to slide the bracelet off my wrist. It had never belonged to me, not really. I did not want it anymore, but the bracelet's band was small, and the more flustered I grew, the tighter it stuck. Chuanqing hurried over to help, but we fumbled with it for ages. Pei Zheng's patience frayed thin, a sneer tugged at his lips as he spoke, his voice cold with warning, "Do not covet what does not belong to you." With that, he flung his sleeve and strode away, leaving me in the cold. 10. I had no words to defend myself. When I finally freed the bracelet, my wrist was raw and swollen, bright red and throbbing with pain. Tears streamed down my face, unstopped. Finally, a reason to cry that felt real. Chuanqing hurried to hand the bracelet to the steward waiting at the door. He said nothing, taking it to report back to his mistress. The night was deep, and the kitchen was empty. Chuanqing, soft-hearted at the sight of my pregnant form, found some pastries for me. We split them between us, and she was soon fast asleep on the daybed, worn out from the day's troubles. I tucked a blanket around her, leaving a few pieces of valuable jewelry and her manumission papers on the cushion beside her. Slinging my bundle over my shoulder, I slipped out of the room alone. I was a woman with a ruined reputation, adrift in the world with no home to call my own. The road ahead would be hard enough without dragging Chuanqing down with me. I left as the first light of dawn painted the sky. The general's mansion was already bustling with activity. Servants scurried about, rushing to prepare for the wedding with my elder cousin in 3 days' time. The decorations were lavish. The preparations elaborate, every detail a testament to how much Pei Zheng cared for this wedding. I sighed softly, my hand resting on my stomach. Speaking a silent apology to the child within, in your next life, choose wisely, be born to a legitimate daughter, a beloved daughter. Never let a miserable wretch like me be your mother. No one spared a glance for the woman in plain clothes. Slipping through the crowd, I left the general's mansion gates without incident. I did not look back. 11. Pei Zhang returned from the imperial court, pausing at the sound of commotion at the gate. What is all this noise about? He stepped closer and saw Shen Liusu berating Shen Liuxi's personal maid. He would have to send Liuxi to the country estate for a while. Liusu was prone to petty fits, and there could be no more trouble before the wedding. Zheng, you've come just in time. This maid of my half-sister's stole something from the mansion. She was trying to run away when I caught her red-handed. The stolen goods are right there, look for yourself. Shen Liusu pointed at the scattered items on the ground, her voice sharp with accusation. No, no. This servant did not steal anything. The jewelry was given to me by my young lady. I was going out to find her. I swear I did not steal a thing. The maid sobbed, her words tumbling out in a desperate plea. Pei Zheng's eyes swept over the ground, several pieces of fine jewelry, a few articles of clothing, a trivial matter, nothing more. He was about to look up to soothe Shen Liusu when something familiar caught his eye. Pei Zheng knelt down, picking up a jade pendant from the pile of things. His face paled in an instant, and he fixed the maid with a fierce gaze, his voice sharp with urgency. Where did you get this pendant? The maid explained again, her voice trembling. I swear it was given to me by my young lady. It was passed down to her by her birth mother, and it's carved with the name of her maternal grandfather's medical hall from years ago. A medical hall. Memories surged. Years ago, he had woken up in a temple, delirious from poison. His deputy had told him he owed his life to a Miss Shen, who had sent a miracle medicine to save him. He had taken the medicine, and 3 days later, he had fully recovered. He had known the medicine must have been incredibly rare and precious. At the time, he had hurried to find his savior, only catching a glimpse of Shen Liusu burning incense in the main hall. He had asked her eagerly, and she had quickly admitted to saving his life, but she had never been able to explain where the miracle medicine had come from. He had simply assumed it was a secret of the Shen family and let it go, grateful to his savior and loving her with all his heart ever since. But the mark on the medicine bottle, it was identical to the one carved on this jade pendant, and for all these years, He had never seen anything like it near Shenliusu again. A cold chill ran down Pei Zheng's spine as he pressed further. "Where is your young lady?" the maid sobbed, gasping for breath. "I don't know where my young lady went. She was gone when I woke up, leaving these things for me. I was just going out to find her when the eldest young lady caught me. General, please help me. My young lady is with child. She can't be alone out there with no one to care for her. I have to find her quickly." The jade pendant slipped from Pei Zheng's fingers. Clattering to the ground, he jerked his head up, his face ashen white. With child, 12, Pei Zheng felt as if he had been struck by lightning, the truth crashing into him in an instant, but he dared not dwell on it. He turned to stare at Shenliusu, who was eyeing the jade pendant with curious interest. He opened his mouth to probe her, but she spoke first, her voice light with curiosity. "Zheng, is there something special about this pendant? Could it be another token of your affection for my dear little sister?" Pei Zheng did not answer, instead asking a question of his own. "Look closely. Do you recognize the symbol on this pendant?" Shenliusu took the pendant, turning it over in her hands again and again. She frowned, confused, and let out a dismissive snort. "It looks strange. I've never seen it before. The jade is of mediocre quality, too." Pei Zheng froze, his blood running cold. He could not bring himself to believe it. The woman who had saved his life all those years ago was not Shenliusu. It had been Shenliushi, and he had spent all these years loving the wrong woman, and betraying the one who had truly saved him. Worse still, Shenliushi was carrying his child, and now she was gone, no one knew where. Pei Zheng's body swayed, his head spinning with dizziness. Shenliusu, alarmed, hurried to support him, but he flung her away with a sharp backhand, sending her tumbling to the ground. "Deputy General, seal all 4 city gates. Spare no effort to find Miss Shenliushi, and mark my words, harm not a single hair on her head. If you do, you will answer for it with your life." Pei Zheng's voice shook as he gave the order, his hands clenched into fists at his sides. He turned and strode toward the gate, his steps urgent. "Zheng," Shenliusu called out, panicked, reaching for him. But Pei Zheng heard nothing, saw no one. He did not stop for a single step. 13. 5 years after leaving the capital, I wandered through many places, before finally settling in my mother's hometown. It was a small border town called Chunlin, where the weather was like spring all year round. It was not a prosperous place, but the people were simple and kind, and life was peaceful and easy. I had not let my mother's teachings go to waste. Changing my name to Qinshi, I worked as an assistant in a local medical hall. Later, I opened a small clinic of my own. I did not dare to use my maternal grandfather's medical reputation, instead naming it after my mother's childhood name, Rongan Hall, after Rong. In these times, many women suffered from ill health, but due to social mores, they were too ashamed to seek treatment from male doctors. So I specialized in women's ailments, and slowly, my little clinic gained a good reputation in the town. On this day, after seeing my last patient, an elderly woman, I was set to close up when my daughter Yu insisted I take her to buy a sugar figurine. The sky was still bright, and she had memorized a whole poem for me the day before, so I agreed. Holding her hand, we walked to the sugar figurine stall on the bridge, and Yu darted forward with a bright smile. "Uncle, I want a Sun Wukong sugar figurine." Her sweet childish voice was full of innocence, making people smile. The stall owner's face broke into a wide grin at once. "There you are, little miss. What trick did you pull on your mother this time to get your way? Watch out, your father spanks you when you get home," the owner joked, but Yu pouted her lips and retorted loudly, indignant, "My daddy would never spank me. Daddy loves Yu the most. Besides, Mommy says he's gone to a very, very far place. He can't spank me even if he wants to." Laughter erupted from the people around us, and I laughed along with them, my heart soft and full. With her coveted sugar figurine in hand, I took her little hand and turned to head back. I spun around and jumped in surprise. What terrible luck. Not far away stood an old acquaintance, 14. My heart skipped a beat. It was not fondness, but fear. My first thought was, had Shen Liusu not vented her anger enough over my sudden departure all those years ago, and sent Pei Zheng to hunt me down here? My heart filled with anxiety as I found myself staring at the man before me. 5 years had passed, and everything was different. Beneath the huge jacaranda tree ahead, Pei Zheng was still the imposing great general he had always been, yet he was more mature and steady than the man I had left behind in the capital. Only the sharpness in his brows still betrayed the reckless, unruly young general he had once been. I wondered why, though. Pei Zheng's face was deathly pale. His eyes bloodshot and terrifying. Our gazes locked for a moment. Then Pei Zheng's eyes drifted to the small figure at my side. It all happened so suddenly. I could not decide whether to pretend I did not know him, or run. Nervous, I unconsciously squeezed Yo-Yo's little hand tight. She cried out in pain at once. "Mama's hurting you." I let go in a hurry, kneeling down to check her hand. I rubbed it gently and blew on it to soothe her. Yo-Yo's smile returned in an instant. "I was fooling you. Mama, a little blow from Mama makes it all better. It doesn't hurt at all." I smiled bitterly. My only thought to take her home quickly and not be entangled by this living llama. I turned my head, only to find Pei Zheng still standing there, not having moved a single step for a long time. I grew even more confused. I picked Yu up silently, ready to take the other path and leave, but I had only taken 2 steps when Pei Zheng blocked my way. "Shen Liushi, I have been looking for you for 5 years. 15. Pei Zheng bent down to stare at me, each word slow and deliberate. His voice was hoarse and terrifying. The words were so sudden, I jumped in shock, nearly letting go of Yu in my arms. Pei Zheng's hands moved fast, stepping forward to support Yu at once, but Yu was so frightened she kicked his hand away, turning to cling tightly to me. "Mama, this uncle looks so fierce." "Yu is scared." Pei Zheng looked a little awkward, withdrawing his hand silently. I was about to comfort Yu when Pei Zheng forced a smile and spoke to her softly. "Little girl, don't be afraid. Uncle is a great general who fights to protect people like you. Your name is Yu, like in the poem The Deer Calls." Yu. Pei Zheng had always been decisive in killing and battle, and had never spoken in such a soft tone to anyone but Shen Liusu. It was the first time I had ever heard such gentleness from his lips. Yu had always been bold, only frightened just now by his armor-clad figure. Now that she heard he was a great general, her fear vanished at once. "Yes, how do you know my name is Yu? Daddy told me many storybooks about battles when I was little. Are you a great hero too?" Yo-Yo's big eyes widened, her gaze lighting up in an instant. But Pei Zheng's eyes dimmed. There was even a hint of guilt in them. He spoke again, his voice almost choking with emotion. "Yes, Yu is very clever." After saying that, he looked at me apologetically, as if it cost him great effort to speak. "Liushi, raising the child alone all these years, it must have been incredibly hard for you." A cold chill ran down my spine, and I looked up at him abruptly. I was utterly confused. Why did it matter to him whether raising my own child was hard or not? "I'm sorry, you have the wrong person. My surname is not Shen, nor is my name Liushi. You must have mistaken me for someone else. Goodbye," I spoke coldly. Then picked Yu up to leave, but Pei Zheng stretched out his long arm, pulling us mother and daughter into his arms in an instant. I struggled to break free, only to hear him bury his head on my shoulder and mumble, "I'm sorry, Liushi. I'm late. I know you blame me, but I have never given up looking for you and our daughter all these 5 years. Come back to the capital with me and the child. Will you?" 16. Pei Zheng's words took me completely by surprise. Wait. He could not possibly think Yu was his daughter, could he? I grew anxious. Men were careless, and it was only natural he could not tell the child's age correctly. But Yu was truly not his child. With that thought, I was about to explain clearly, when Pei Zheng was suddenly slapped by the struggling Yu. Let go of my mama, let go of my mama, or my daddy will come back and break your legs. Pei Zheng was slapped, but he did not get angry at all. He stepped back a little, instead smiling patiently at her. Yu, I am your daddy. I just went off to fight a war, and now I'm back. I hurried to cut him off, explaining with a cold face. General Pei, you are mistaken. Yu is not your child. But Pei Zheng did not listen, tirelessly coaxing Yu. Yu, will you come back to the capital with Mama and me? There are many beautiful dresses in the capital, and lots of delicious food and fun things. He had not finished speaking when Yu lost her patience, puffing out her cheeks in displeasure. No, my daddy is taller and handsomer than you. Yu isn't going anywhere, or daddy won't find us when he comes back. I really am your daddy. Pei Zheng looked a little embarrassed, about to persuade her again. I did not want to be entangled any longer. Holding Yu further away and speaking loudly in the street. General Pei, in broad daylight, under the clear sky, are you really going to snatch a child? There had already been a few onlookers nearby, and more gathered when they heard my words. What's wrong with this soldier? He looks tall and big, yet he snatches a child in the street. Ms. Qin, hurry back with the child. We'll stop him for you. That's right. Is there no law left? The townsfolk chattered away, leaving Pei Zheng's face a kaleidoscope of colors. And he did not insist on stopping us any longer. He left in a hurry with his attendants. I thanked everyone, then hurried back to the clinic with Yu in my arms. 17. Behind the clinic was a small two-courtyard house, where our little family of 3 lived. Children forgot things quickly, and Yu was fine once we got home, but my heart was heavy with worry, though I did not know why he had misunderstood Yo-Yo's identity. I feared it would attract people from the Shun family and bring more unnecessary trouble. I would not be able to do business for the next few days. It would be safer to open the door again after Pei Zheng left Chunlin County. Having made up my mind, I deliberately did not open the clinic the next day. 3 peaceful days passed in a row. I thought Pei Zheng must have left. Just as several patients grew impatient and came to seek treatment, I opened a side door. But no sooner had I opened it and gotten busy than Yu slipped outside to play with the neighbor's child. When I finished my work and went to find her, she and the neighbor's child were chattering around a sugar painting stall. My face darkened the moment I saw the stall owner. Pei Zheng had found me. Yu, sugar paintings are delicious. Will uncle paint a war horse for you? Pei Zheng was dressed in plain clothes, looking just like a peddler, a freshly painted sugar painting in his hand. Yu was a little tempted, but looked embarrassed. Uncle, Mama didn't give me any money. Pei Zheng smiled. Uncle's sugar paintings are free. Uncle thinks you're cute, so it's a gift for you. Wariness flashed across Yo-Yo's face at once. Uncle, Mama says free things are for tricking kids, like human traffickers. Ergu, let's run. The neighbor's child also grew wary. The two were about to run when Pei Zheng caught them at once. Uncle is not a human trafficker. Uncle is a friend of your Mama's. You saw her talking to me that day. Don't you remember? Children were easy to coax after all, and with the temptation of the sugar painting. Yu believed him a little this time and did not move. Then Uncle, can you paint 2 war horses for me? Pei Zheng agreed happily, a hint of moisture glistening in his eyes. He asked casually, Yu, you were born in the year of the horse, right? What year was your Mama born in? Confusion crossed Yo-Yo's face. Yu is not born in the year of the horse. Yu is born in the year of the goat. BAA tilde. Pei Zheng froze for a moment, murmuring, your Mama even changed her Chinese zodiac sign. I stood not far away, my heart a jumble of emotions. Pei Zheng had somehow learned the craft, and truly painted 2 war horses for Yu. Yu took the sugar paintings happily, and Pei Zheng stroked her head fondly. Yu is such a good girl. You eat one, and save the other for your Mama. Right. Yu shook her head, grinning brightly. No, Mama never eats sugar. One sugar painting for Yu, and the other for Daddy to eat when he comes back. Mama says Daddy will be back at the end of the month, and he brings me lots of nice things every time he comes back. Yu wants to give him a gift too. The smile that had been on Pei Zheng's lips fell in an instant. He looked as if he had 1,000 words to say, staring at Yu without blinking. He continued to explain patiently. Yu, Uncle really is your daddy. Can you give the sugar painting to Daddy to eat? 18. No, you're not my daddy. I'll give all the sugar paintings back to you. Yu was furious, shoving the sugar paintings into Pei Zheng's hands. I stepped forward quickly, taking the two children by the hand. General Pei, I made it very clear the other day. Yu is really not your child. There are some things it's not good to say in front of a child. Please do not come to disturb us again. Pei Zheng let out a hollow laugh. Liushi, I know you still blame me. I did wrong back then. But why do you have to carry all this alone, even lying to the child, making up her Chinese zodiac sign too? I sighed. Why was this man so stubborn? Yu is 3.5 years old this year. Ask her if you don't believe me. Children don't lie. That child, the one from before, we were not destined. I bought a packet of safflower the day I left the capital. Pei Zheng's eyes widened, his face changing color in an instant. Even the sugar painting tools in his hand fell to the ground. He seemed unable to believe what he was hearing. It was better to have everything out in the open. Seeing him standing there dumbfounded, I paid him no more attention, taking Yu and Ergu by the hand and heading back. There was no movement from behind us the whole way. As I closed the door, I saw him still staring at us, mother and daughter, intently. Sigh. I feared I would not be able to open the clinic for consultations for the next few days either. But it was fine. Yoyo's daddy sent a letter last month, and he should be arriving in the next few days. The thought of my husband Xie Yanglin calmed my heart at once. I thought that after speaking clearly yesterday, Pei Zheng would have left overnight. But when I opened the door to buy vegetables the next day, Pei Zheng was standing there before me again. 19. Pei Zheng was holding a pile of children's toys, a flower-adorned carriage behind him. The hidden guards not far from the door stirred restlessly, and I shook my head slightly to signal them there was no trouble. Uncle, why are you here again? Yu pouted, tilting her little face up. Can you stop pestering my mama? Daddy will be jealous when he comes back. Pei Zheng looked somewhat awkward, not answering, only squatting down to hold out the bag of trinkets to her. Yu, Uncle bought you a cloth tiger, clay figurines, pottery rattle balls. He presented the treasures to Yu ingratiatingly, introducing each one. Yoyo's eyes were drawn to them, but her body did not move an inch. I spoke with a headache. General Pei, did you not hear what I said yesterday? There is no need for this. Pei Zheng acted as if he did not hear me, standing up to introduce the contents of the carriage to me. Liushi, look, these are lychees from Lingnan. Delivered by horses that ran themselves ragged over 3 days. These are expensive silks purchased overnight from the capital, and these are the most beautiful jewels from the nearby jewelry shop. I got them all for you. Whatever else you want, if it exists under heaven, I will fetch it for you. I stepped back 2 paces, cutting him off coldly. General Pei, neither Yu nor I need you to do any of this. I think you are still misunderstanding. Yu is truly not your flesh and blood. Please stop disturbing us. Pei Zheng smiled bitterly. Liushi, you do not need to lie to me. I know how kind you are. Back then, in that mountain temple, you were willing to save my life with the only divine medicine left by your maternal grandfather. These past few days, outside the clinic, I watched you be patient and kind to the elderly, the weak, women and children, even to common folk who could not afford medical fees. How could you bear to abort my child? Liushi, stop being angry with me. I know you hate me in your heart, but if you will give me a chance, bring Yu back with me to the capital, and I will spend the rest of my life making amends to you and our daughter." I suddenly felt a little helpless. Pei Zheng had always been decisive in life and death, never so stubbornly persistent and pushy as he was now. 5 years could change a person so much. I said helplessly, "Yo-Yo's real father will be back in the next 2 days. If you do not believe me, wait for him to come. And then you can give up and leave." But Pei Zheng laughed. "In such a small place, what kind of ordinary man could be worthy of you? Liushi, do not wrong yourself just to anger me." As soon as he finished speaking, a cold voice came from behind us. "Madam, have I wronged you, my wife?" 20. Everyone turned to look in the direction of the voice. My husband Xie Yanlin's face was as dark as water as he stepped casually out from behind a carriage. Yu Yu was the first to react, breaking free from my grasp and throwing herself at Xie Yanlin. "Daddy." Xie Yanlin's expression immediately softened into a warm smile, lifting Yu Yu up in one arm. "Daddy, you're finally back. That bad uncle has been annoying Mama to death." Xie Yanlin froze for a second, kissing Yo-Yo's chubby little cheek. He hoisted her onto his shoulders before walking over to stand side by side with me. Father and daughter had always been close, and I was used to it. But Pei Zheng had never seen such a scene. He looked as if he had suffered a great blow, rooted to the spot, unable to move. 7th Prince. Pei Zheng finally reacted, hurrying to bow in greeting. "Right?" Xie Yanglin had lived in seclusion under a false identity for so long that I had almost forgotten they should have known each other once. Pei Zheng still refused to believe it, murmuring, "Liushi's husband is the 7th Prince." Xie Yanglin held Yu Yu with one hand, wrapping the other around my shoulders. "If this prince remembers correctly, General, you are already married, are you not? Does your wife know you are pestering another man's wife outside?" Pei Zheng swayed slightly, hurrying to look at me and explain frantically. "Back then, when Liushi left without a word, I immediately sealed the city gates to search for her, but scoured the entire city 7 times and found nothing. I have never given up looking for her and our daughter all these years." The more Pei Zheng spoke, the darker Xie Yanlin's face became, but he did not stop. "But that poisonous woman Shen Liusu threatened to kill herself, and with the emperor's order pressing down on me, I had to take responsibility for her and marry her first. Yet since Shen Liusu entered the mansion, I have never touched her once. To this day, there is still no heir to the general's mansion. If you do not believe me, go and ask the entire capital. Shen Liusu has been reprimanded by the emperor because of this, and laughed at by all the noble ladies in the capital." He rambled on, suddenly as if sensing something. He whipped his head around, and saw Shen Liusu standing there at some point. Her face was as white as paper. 21. Pei Zheng finally fell silent. His face was a kaleidoscope of emotions too. Xie Yanglin smiled faintly. "Madam, today must be an auspicious day, our doorstep is quite lively." After a moment, he said with disdain, "Shen Liusu, you chase after people and pester them again. Do you not know how utterly tiresome this is?" Tears burst forth from Shen Liusu's eyes in an instant, and she accused him hysterically. "Zheng, so it's all for this little bitch, and this little brat too, that you've never touched me. You've kept yourself chaste for her, then what am I, if you could not let her go? Why did you marry me?" As soon as she finished speaking, Xie Yanglin flicked a stone at her knees with lightning speed. Shen Liusu stumbled and knelt down, right in front of me. "Watch your mouth. If you dare to disrespect my wife again, it will not be just your knees I hit," Xie Yanglin said coldly. Shen Liusu did not recognize him, her tears flowing even more fiercely as she shouted at Pei Zheng. "Pei Zheng, no matter what, I am your lawfully wedded wife. Are you just going to stand by and let someone bully me like this and do nothing?" Pei Zheng did not even deign to give her a glance. "We both know full well how you forced me to marry you. You have the position of legal wife, what more do you want? If it were not for your scheming back then, would Liushi and I have been separated for so many years?" Shen Liusu struggled to her feet, pointing at Pei Zheng and cursing. Very well, Pei Zheng, you still blame me to this day. Was it not your own choice back then? You were the one who had an illicit affair with that slut Shen Liuxi first, and you even took my chastity, and now you say I schemed against you. It's a pity that Shen Liuxi already has a man who dotes on her more. You shamelessly come pestering her, bringing her all these things, and she does not even spare you a second glance. Shen Liuxi tore open Pei Zheng's old wounds, and he could not hold back, slapping her across the face with his backhand. Shut up. You shrew. Shen Liuxi could not believe it, swaying unsteadily on her feet. She looked at him through tear-blurred eyes, not saying a word. Xie Yanglin set Yu down, covering her ears to keep her from hearing the filthy words. 11er, let us take Yu home first. Leave this place to General Pei and his wife. I presume they have a lot of family matters to settle. With that, Xie Yanglin signaled for me to enter the house, but Shen Liuxi suddenly seemed to remember something. Shouting unwillingly, man of Shen Liuxi, this young master looks quite extraordinary. He must not be an ordinary man. Do you know that the daughter you dote on so much is not your own flesh and blood? She is the bastard child of this Shen Liuxi and my husband. I do not want you to be kept in the dark for the rest of your life. 22. Xie Yanglin, who was just about to step over the threshold, paused. He turned his head slowly, his eyes dark and terrifying. His daughter and I had always been his bottom line. Shen Liuxi could curse anyone, but we were the ones she could never touch. Miss Shen, I have shown you mercy for the sake of you being 11er's elder sister, but if you
slowly warming each other's hearts, and bound even closer by the flesh and blood of our child, forge an even stronger heart together. Worn out from the night, I did not wake until nearly noon. Spring rain was falling outside, and the father and daughter were admiring the rain in the courtyard. Thunder rumbled from time to time, and Xie Yanglin would cover Yo-Yo's ears with his hands, afraid she would be scared. When he saw me come out, Yu threw herself at me. Mama's shy, sleeping in late. My cheeks flushed bright red, and I shot Xie Yanglin a glare. Yu shouted at me again, Mama, that weird uncle is coming to our house again. Is his head really not right? He's standing in the rain outside. I was astonished, turning to look at Xie Yanglin. He spoke with a jealous sneer, a mere clown. He dreams of touching what's mine. I walked to the outer hall of the clinic, and caught sight of Pei Zheng standing in the rain outside the door at a glance. 24. The spring rain fell in a fine, dense drizzle. Pei Zheng held no umbrella, letting the rain drench him without resistance. He was soaked to the bone, utterly miserable. This man has been standing in the rain all night. He won't say a word when asked. Such a weirdo. Does he not care about his own life? The young female assistant at the clinic muttered to me, seeing me stand before him with an umbrella. Pei Zheng smiled instead, his voice hoarse. Liuxi, I knew it. You still care about me after all. I urged him for the last time. General Pei, why do you put yourself through this? I have told you clearly time and again, we really have no relationship anymore. And Yu is truly not your daughter. If you do not believe me, we can do a blood test. But if you open your eyes and look carefully, the father and daughter have almost identical eyebrows and eyes. Stop deceiving yourself. The past is gone for good. Pei Zheng's body swayed. And just then Xie Yanglin walked to the clinic door with Yu in his arms, looking over at us, the big and the small figure, with almost identical expressions, their features cast from the same mold. All expression drained from Pei Zheng's face inch by inch. He seemed to lose all strength, his face deathly pale. No, it's impossible. Liuxi could never bear to abort our child. Even if Yu is not my daughter, I can still take care of you and her. Xie Yanglin came over with the umbrella, wrapping an arm around me. No need to trouble the general with taking care of Xie's wife. I will do that myself. Pei Zheng's strength gave out, and he fainted at the clinic door. 25. In the days that followed, Xie Yanglin pushed aside all his affairs, staying home to accompany Yu and me wholeheartedly, because Pei Zheng had not given up. Even after 1,000 explanations, he still firmly believed that Yu must be his daughter. He had fallen gravely ill from the rain that day. and his subordinates had carried him to the clinic. They said he refused to take medicine no matter what, insisting on only being treated by me. I had the hidden guards carry him right back out at once. Roman Hall only treated female patients. According to his subordinates, he refused to eat, drink, or take his medicine, and Shinryosu had to force the medicine down his throat. It took half a month of care for him to recover. After being taught a lesson by Xie Yanlin's men last time, Shinryosu did not dare to come and trouble me again. But once Pei Zheng recovered, he dragged his weak body to the clinic to find me all the same. Every day he sat in the main hall of the clinic, silent, staring at me in a daze. Sometimes Yu would feel sorry for him and talk to him a little, and he would be over the moon with joy. He brought her toys or snacks every day, even though Yu refused them every time. When there were heavy crates to move at the clinic, he was the first to step forward and help. I could not understand why a great general like him would have nothing better to do. Xie Yanglin regarded him as nothing more than a clown, paying him no mind. After all, with him at home, Pei Zheng could not stir up any trouble. Finally, on the day he carried a whole cart of medicinal herbs to the clinic once more, Shinryosu could take it no longer, storming into the clinic in a rage. At that moment, I was dispensing medicine for a patient, not noticing the commotion around me. When I reacted, Shinryosu was lunging at me with a dagger straight in her hand. I was too scared to move. But in the blink of an eye, Pei Zheng rushed out and shielded me with his body. Shinryosu's knife stabbed him right in the abdomen. Shinryosu froze, but Pei Zheng did not let her go. He struck her with his backhand, sending her flying several meters away. Shinryosu crashed into the wall, spitting blood from her mouth. Ignoring his own bleeding wound, Pei Zheng hurried to check if I was hurt. Shinryosu wept in despair. "Zheng, I have done so much for you all these years, and you never saw it. For a bastard born to a courtesan, you hurt me like this. You have such a cruel heart." Pei Zheng stared at her for a long time, his voice filled with gritted hatred. "Shinryosu, if you had not deceived me so thoroughly, would we have ended up like this? Would Liuxi have had to run away with my child?" Shinryosu laughed maniacally. "You still think she's your child to this day? Stop daydreaming. Look at her husband, he's far more responsible than you. At least he knows how to protect his wife. Fortunately, what I cannot have, you cannot have either. My blade is coated with deadly poison. If you are willing to die for Shinryoshi, then die you shall." Ha 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 ha. Pei Zheng's subordinates heard this and rushed forward in a panic to support him, but he waved them away with one hand. Pei Zheng stared at me unblinkingly, begging, "Liuxi, save me, will you? I truly regret it. I should never have failed you that day, even if I misidentified my savior back then. I should have taken responsibility for you, for the child." I looked at him deeply, saying nothing as I turned and walked back to the inner chamber. Perhaps the Shinryoshi of 5 years ago would have wavered, but the Qinshi of 5 years later no longer wasted her energy on the past. I was still the same tongue-tied concubine daughter who never knew how to fight for herself. But my heart had long since become firmer and softer. Later, Shinryosu's severe injuries never healed, and she died that very night. Even as she breathed her last, she rambled on about how she must be buried in the Pei family ancestral grave, haunting him for all eternity. Pei Zheng had been poisoned with a deadly toxin, and there was no more of my life-saving divine medicine to save him. By the time he was carried back to the capital for treatment, the poison had seeped too deeply into his body, inflicting severe and permanent damage. He was weak for the rest of his life, never able to lift a blade again. Aside from sighing at the loss of a great general, the world had no other words for his fate. I first heard the news from a storyteller on the street when we arrived in the capital, and I had no comment to make. Yu, however, said, "If the great hero can't lift a knife anymore, he's so pitiful." Xie Yanglin picked Yu up silently. Our little family of 3 was ready to leave here and return to live in the capital. Several of the emperor's princes had died one after another in accidents, and now the only suitable heir left was Xie Yanglin, the once unfavored 7th prince. 1,000 trials and tribulations awaited us ahead, but fortunately, when the spring flames burn out, the fruit begins to take shape.